We cannot enter into alliances until we are acquainted with the designs of our neighbors. When the outlook is bright, bring it before their eyes, but tell them nothing when the situation is gloomy. The worst calamities that befall an army arise from hesitation. Hence, that general is skillful in attack, whose opponent does not know what to defend. And he who is skillful in defense, whose opponent does not know what to attack. Those skilled at making the enemy move do so by creating a situation to which he must conform. They entice him with something he is certain to take, and with lures of ostensible profit they await him in strength. Energy may be likened to the bending of a crossbow. Decision to the releasing of a trigger. When your army has crossed the border, you should burn your boats and bridges in order to make it clear to everybody that you have no hankering after home. There are 5 dangerous faults which may affect a general. 1. Recklessness, which leads to destruction. 2. Cowardice, which leads to capture. 3. A hasty temper, which can be provoked by insults. 4. A delicacy of honor, which is sensitive to shame. 5. Over solicitude for his men, which exposes him to worry and trouble. Ponder and deliberate before you make a move. Rewards for good service should not be deferred a single day. Begin by seizing something which your opponent holds dear. Then he will be amenable to your will. If words of command are not clear and distinct, if orders are not thoroughly understood, then the general is to blame. But if orders are clear and the soldiers nevertheless disobey, then it is the fault of their officers. If his forces are united, separate them. Move not unless you see an advantage. Use not your troops unless there is something to be gained. Fight not unless the position is critical. The general who advances without coveting fame and retreats without fearing disgrace, whose only thought is to protect his country and do good service for his sovereign is the jewel of the kingdom. It is only the enlightened ruler and the wise general who will use the highest intelligence of the army for the purposes of spying, and thereby they achieve great results. If soldiers are punished before they have grown attached to you, they will not prove submissive. And, unless submissive, then will be practically useless. If, when the soldiers have become attached to you, punishments are not enforced, they will still be useless. Convince your enemy that he will gain very little by attacking you. This will diminish his enthusiasm. To fight and conquer in all our battles is not supreme excellence. Supreme excellence consists in breaking the enemy's resistance without fighting. Let your plans be dark and impenetrable as night. And when you move, fall like a thunderbolt. All warfare is based on deception. Hence, when we are able to attack, we must seem unable. When using our forces, we must appear inactive. When we are near, we must make the enemy believe we are far away. When far away, we must make him believe we are near. If your opponent is temperamental, seek to irritate him. Pretend to be weak, that he may grow arrogant. If he is taking his ease, give him no rest. If his forces are united, separate them. If sovereign and subject are in accord, put division between them. Attack him where he is unprepared. Appear where you are not expected. To know your enemy, you must become your enemy. Thus, we may know that there are 5 essentials for victory. 1. He will win who knows when to fight and when not to fight. 2. He will win who knows how to handle both superior and inferior forces. 3. He will win whose army is animated by the same spirit throughout all its ranks. 4. He will win who, prepared himself, waits to take the enemy unprepared. 5. He will win who has military capacity and is not interfered with by the sovereign. Treat your men as you would your own beloved sons, and they will follow you into the deepest valley. When the enemy is relaxed, make them toil. When full, starve them. When settled, make them move. So in war, The way is to avoid what is strong and strike at what is weak. To win 100 victories in 100 battles is not the acme of skill. To subdue the enemy without fighting is the acme of skill. Be extremely subtle, even to the point of formlessness. Be extremely mysterious, even to the point of soundlessness. Thereby, you can be the director of the opponent's fate. Thus, the expert in battle moves the enemy and is not moved by him. Water shapes its course according to the nature of the ground over which it flows. The soldier works out his victory in relation to the foe whom he is facing. The supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting. Appear weak when you are strong, and strong when you are weak. When one treats people with benevolence, justice, and righteousness, and reposes confidence in them, the army will be united in mind, and all will be happy to serve their leaders. He does only what is his to do, and considers constantly what the world has in store for him, doing his best and trusting that all is for the best. For we carry our fate with us, and it carries us. To love only what happens, what was destined, no greater harmony. For there is a single harmony, just as the world forms a single body comprising all bodies. So fate forms a single purpose, comprising all purposes. To watch the courses of the stars as if you revolved with them. To keep constantly in mind how the elements alter into one another. Thoughts like this wash off the mud of life below. No one can keep you from living as your nature requires. Nothing can happen to you that is not required by nature. The others obey their own lead, follow their own impulses. Don't be distracted. Keep walking. Follow your own nature and follow nature. Along the road, they share. Doctors keep their scalpels and other instruments handy for emergencies. Keep your philosophy ready too. Ready to understand heaven and earth. In everything you do, even the smallest thing, remember the chain that links them. Nothing earthly succeeds by ignoring heaven. Nothing heavenly by ignoring the earth. Love the discipline you know, and let it support you. Entrust everything willingly to the gods, and then make your way through life. No one's master and no one's slave. People try to get away from it all, to the country, to the beach, to the mountains. You always wish that you could too, which is idiotic. You can get away from it at any time you like by going within. Nowhere you can go is more peaceful, more free of interruptions than your own soul. What injures the hive injures the bee. Whatever happens to you is for the good of the world. That would be enough right there. But if you look closely, you'll generally notice something else as well. Whatever happens to a single person is for the good of others. In short, know this: human lives are brief and trivial. Yesterday, a blob of semen. Tomorrow, embalming fluid. Ash. Indifference to external events, and a commitment to justice in your own acts, which means thought and action resulting in the common good, what you were born to do. When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. They are like this because they can't tell good from evil. But I have seen the beauty of good and the ugliness of evil, and have recognized that the wrongdoer has a nature related to my own. not of the same blood or birth, but the same mind, and possessing a share of the divine. Fight to be the person philosophy tried to make you. Revere the gods. Watch over human beings. Our lives are short. The only rewards of our existence here are an unstained character and unselfish acts. Mastery of reading and writing requires a master. Still more, so life. People who labor all their lives but have no purpose to direct every thought and impulse toward are wasting their time, even when hard at work. At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I have to go to work as a human being. What do I have to complain of? If I'm going to do what I was born for, the things I was brought into the world to do, or is this what I was created for? To huddle under the blankets and stay warm. You don't love yourself enough. Or you love your nature too, and what it demands of you. People who love what they do wear themselves down doing it. They even forget to wash or eat. It can ruin your life only if it ruins your character. Otherwise, it cannot harm you, inside or out. Perfection of character, to live your last day, every day, without frenzy or sloth or pretense. The things you think about determine the quality of your mind. Your soul takes on the color of your thoughts. The mind in itself has no needs, except for those it creates itself, is undisturbed except for its own disturbances, knows no obstructions except those from within. The mind without passions is a fortress. No place is more secure. Once we take refuge there, we are safe forever. Not to see this is ignorance. To see it and not seek safety means misery. That things have no hold on the soul. They stand there unmoving, outside it. Disturbance comes only from within, from our own perceptions. Choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed. Don't feel harmed, and you haven't been. Objective judgment, now, at this very moment. Unselfish action, now, at this very moment. Willing acceptance, now, at this very moment, of all external events. That's all you need. I can control my thoughts as necessary. Then how can I be troubled? What is outside my mind means nothing to it. Absorb that lesson and your feet stand firm. You can return to life. Look at things as you did before, and life returns. External things are not the problem. It's your assessment of them, which you can erase right now. Your three components, body, breath, mind, 2 are yours in trust. To the third alone, you have clear title. To move from one unselfish action to another with God in mind, only there, delight in stillness. For every action, ask, how does it affect me? Could I change my mind about it? But soon I'll be dead, and the slate's empty. So is this the only question? Is it the action of a responsible being, part of society, and subject to the same decrees as God? To stop talking about what the good man is like, and just be one. Be satisfied with even the smallest progress, and treat the outcome of it all as unimportant. You see how few things you have to do to live a satisfying and reverent life. If you can manage this, that's all even the gods can ask of you. If you seek tranquility, do less, or more accurately, do what's essential, what the logos of a social being requires, and in the requisite way, which brings a double satisfaction. To do less, better. Because most of what we say and do is not essential. If you can eliminate it, you'll have more time and more tranquility. Ask yourself at every moment, is this necessary? The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. To bear in mind constantly that all of this has happened before and will happen again. The same plot from beginning to end, the identical staging. Produce them in your mind as you know them from experience or from history. All just the same, only the people different. Forget everything else. Keep hold of this alone and remember it. Each of us lives only now, this brief instant. The rest has been lived already, or is impossible to see. Think of yourself as dead. You have lived your life. Now take what's left and live it properly. If all the rest is common coin, then what is unique to the good man? To welcome with affection what is sent by fate. Not to stain or disturb the spirit within him with the mess of false beliefs. Instead, to preserve it faithfully by calmly obeying God, saying nothing untrue, doing nothing unjust. And if the others don't acknowledge it, this life lived with simplicity, humility, cheerfulness, he doesn't resent them for it and isn't deterred from following the road where it leads to the end of life. An end to be approached in purity, in serenity, in acceptance, in peaceful unity with what must be. Then what should we work for? Only this: proper understanding, unselfish action, truthful speech, a resolve to accept whatever happens as necessary and familiar, flowing like water from that same source and spring. So we throw out other people's recognition. What's left for us to prize? I think it's this: to do and not do what we were designed for. That's the goal of all trades, all arts, and what each of them aims at, that the thing they create should do what it was designed to do. The nurseryman who cares for the vines, the horse trainer, the dog breeder. This is what they aim at. Be satisfied if you can live the rest of your life, however short, as your nature demands. Focus on that. And don't let anything distract you. You've wandered all over and finally realized that you never found what you were after. How to live. Not in syllogisms, not in money or fame or self-indulgence. Nowhere. Then where is it to be found? In doing what human nature requires. How? Through first principles, which should govern your intentions and your actions. What principles? Those to do with good and evil. That is nothing good except what leads to fairness and self-control and courage and free will, and nothing bad except what does the opposite. To my soul, are you ever going to achieve goodness? Ever going to be simple, whole, and naked, as plain to see as the body that contains you? Know what an affectionate and loving disposition would feel like? Ever be fulfilled? Ever stop desiring? lusting and longing for people and things to enjoy, or for more time to enjoy them, or for some other place or country, a more temperate clime, or for people easier to get along with, and instead be satisfied with what you have and accept the present, all of it, and convince yourself that everything is the gift of the gods, that things are good and always will be, whatever they decide and have in store for the preservation of that perfect entity, good and just beautiful, creating all things, connecting and embracing them, and gathering in their separate fragments to create more like them. To live your brief life rightly, isn't that enough? The raw material you're missing, the opportunities. What is any of this but training? Training for your logos, in life observed accurately, scientifically. People ask, have you ever seen the gods you worship? How can you be sure they exist? Answers. 1. Just look around you. 2. I've never seen my soul either, and yet I revere it. That's how I know the gods exist and why I revere them, from having felt their power over and over. Don't ever forget these things: the nature of the world, my nature, how I relate to the world, what proportion of it I make up, that you are part of nature, and no one can prevent you from speaking and acting in harmony with it. Always. Remember, matter, how tiny your share of it. Time, how brief and fleeting your allotment of it. Fate, how small a role you play in it. Wash yourself clean with simplicity, with humility, with indifference to everything but right and wrong. Care for other human beings. Follow God. Nature did not blend things so inextricably that you can't draw your own boundaries. Place your own well-being in your own hands. It's quite possible to be a good man without anyone realizing it. Remember that. And this too. You don't need much to live happily. And just because you've abandoned your hopes of becoming a great thinker or scientist, don't give up on attaining freedom, achieving humility, serving others, obeying God. Concentrate on what you have to do. Fix your eyes on it. Remind yourself that your task is to be a good human being. Remind yourself what nature demands of people. Then do it without hesitation, and speak the truth as you see it, but with kindness, with humility, without hypocrisy. Apply them constantly to everything that happens. Physics, ethics, logic. Stick to what's in front of you. Idea, action, utterance. Three relationships. 1. With the body you inhabit. 2. With the divine, the cause of everything and all things. And 3. With the people around you. Not to know what the world is to be ignorant of where you are. Not to know why it's here is to be ignorant of who you are and what it is. Not to know any of this is to be ignorant of why you're here. Epithets for yourself: upright, modest, straightforward, sane, cooperative, disinterested. If you maintain your claim to these epithets without caring if others apply them to you or not, you'll become a new person, living a new life. Your actions and perceptions need to aim at accomplishing practical ends, at the exercise of thought, at maintaining a confidence founded on understanding, an unobtrusive confidence hidden in plain sight. Continual awareness of all time and space, of the size and lifespan of all things around us, a grape seed in infinite space, a half twist of a corkscrew against eternity. Characteristics of the rational soul: self-perception, self-examination, and the power to make of itself whatever it wants. It reaps its own harvest. Unlike plants, and in a different way, animals, whose yield is gathered in by others, it reaches its intended goal, no matter where the limit of its life is set. To see things as they are: substance, cause, and purpose. That an individual's mind is God and of God. That nothing belongs to anyone. Children, body, life itself. All of them come from that same source. That it's all how you choose to see things. That the present is all we have to live in or to lose. He will win who knows when to fight and when not to fight. In the midst of chaos, there is also opportunity. Victorious warriors win first and then go to war, while defeated warriors go to war first and then seek to win. If you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles. If you know yourself, but not the enemy, for every victory gained, you will also suffer a defeat. If you know neither the enemy nor yourself, you will succumb in every battle. The greatest victory is that which requires no battle. Quickness is the essence of the war. Even the finest sword, plunged into salt water, will eventually rust. The art of war is of vital importance to the state. It is a matter of life and death, a road either to safety or to ruin. Hence, it is a subject of inquiry, which can on no account be neglected. There is of no instance of a nation benefiting from prolonged warfare. There are not more than 5 musical notes. Yet the combinations of these 5 give rise to more melodies than can ever be heard. There are not more than 5 primary colors. Yet in combination, they produce more hues than can ever be seen. There are not more than 5 cardinal tastes. Yet the combinations of them yield more flavors than can ever be tasted. Who wishes to fight must first count the cost. You have to believe in yourself. Build your opponent a golden bridge to retreat across. One may know how to conquer without being able to do it. What the ancients called a clever fighter is one who not only wins, but excels in winning with ease. The wise warrior avoids the battle. The whole secret lies in confusing the enemy, so that he cannot fathom our real intent. One mark of a great soldier is that he fight on his own terms, or fights not at all. If the mind is willing, the flesh could go on and on without many things. He who is prudent and lies in wait for an enemy who is not will be victorious. Anger may in time change to gladness. Vexation may be succeeded by content. But a kingdom that has once been destroyed can never come again into being, nor can the dead ever be brought back to life. There are roads which must not be followed, armies which must not be attacked, towns which must not be besieged, positions which must not be contested, commands of the sovereign which must not be obeyed. Attack is the secret of defense. Defense is the planning of an attack. Great results can be achieved with small forces. Opportunities multiply as they are seized. If quick, I survive. If not quick, I am lost. This is death. To secure ourselves against defeat lies in our own hands. But the opportunity of defeating the enemy is provided by the enemy himself. Bravery without forethought causes a man to fight blindly and desperately like a mad bull. Such an opponent must not be encountered with brute force, but may be lured into an ambush and slain. Wheels of justice grind slow, but grind fine. Never venture, never win. The skillful tactician may be likened to the Shoijan. Now, the Shoijan is a snake that is found in the Chang Mountains. Strike at its head, and you will be attacked by its tail. Strike at its tail, and you will be attacked by its head. Strike at its middle, and you will be attacked by head and tail both. It is easy to love your friend, but sometimes the hardest lesson to learn is to love your enemy. Beware, your enemy is not. Who does not know the evils of war cannot appreciate its benefits. In battle, there are not more than two methods of attack: the direct and the indirect. Yet these two in combination give rise to an endless series of maneuvers. Plan for what is difficult while it is easy. Do what is great while it is small. The opportunity of defeating the enemy is provided by the enemy himself. Foreknowledge cannot be gotten from ghosts and spirits, cannot be had by analogy, cannot be found out by calculation. It must be obtained from people who know the conditions of the enemy. If you fight with all your might, there is a chance of life, whereas death is certain if you cling to your corner. Do not swallow bait offered by the enemy. Do not interfere with an army that is returning home. Life, if well lived, is long enough. We suffer more in imagination than in reality. Love, in its essence, is spiritual fire. Enjoy present pleasures in such a way as not to injure future ones. Man is affected not by events, but by the view he takes of them. How does it help to make troubles heavier by bemoaning them? Wherever there is a human being, there is an opportunity for kindness. It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor. Time heals what reason cannot. Let us say what we feel and feel what we say. Let speech harmonize with life. The greatest blessings of mankind are within us and within our reach. A wise man is content with his lot, whatever it may be, without wishing for what he has not. It is not that we have so little time, but that we lose so much. The life we receive is not short, but we make it so. Remember that pain has this most excellent quality. If prolonged, it cannot be severe. And if severe, it cannot be prolonged. Begin at once to live and count each separate day as a separate life. As is a tale, so is life. Not how long it is, but how good it is what matters. Sometimes even to live is an act of courage. Life is like a play. It's not the length, but the excellence of the acting that matters. While we wait for life, life passes. We are always complaining that our days are few, and acting as though there would be no end of them. Every night before going to sleep, we must ask ourselves, what weakness did I overcome today? What virtue did I acquire? True happiness is to enjoy the present, without anxious dependence upon the future. Not to amuse ourselves with either hopes or fears, but to rest satisfied with what we have, which is sufficient. For he that is so wants nothing. Throw me to the wolves, and I will return leading the pack. If a man knows not to which port he sails, no wind is favorable. Associate with people who are likely to improve you. To wish to progress is the largest part of progress. Besides, he who is feared fears also. No one has been able to arouse terror and live in peace of mind. It is a rough road that leads to the heights of greatness. Things that were hard to bear are sweet to remember. It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare. It is because we do not dare that things are difficult. Luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials. So you must match time's swiftness with your speed in using it. And you must drink quickly as though from a rapid stream that will not always flow. Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body. The good things of prosperity are to be wished, but the good things that belong to adversity are to be admired. Every guilty person is his own hangman. All cruelty springs from weakness. Once again, prosperous and successful crime goes by the name of virtue. Good men obey the bad. Might is right and fear oppresses law. A good judge condemns wrongful acts, but does not hate them. I am not born for one corner. The whole world is my native land. Everywhere is nowhere. When a person spends all his time in foreign travel, he ends by having many acquaintances, but no friends. Regard a friend as loyal, and you will make him loyal. One of the most beautiful qualities of true friendship is to understand and to be understood. It is another's fault if he be ungrateful, but it is mine if I do not give. To find one thankful man, I will oblige a great many that are not so. Friendship is always helpful, but love sometimes even does harm. A person's fears are lighter when the danger is at hand. You act like mortals in all that you fear, and like immortals in all that you desire. Worse than war is the very fear of war. Remember, however, before all else, to strip things of all that disturbs and confuses, and to see what each is at the bottom. You will then comprehend that they contain nothing fearful except the actual fear. Religion is regarded by the common people as true, by the wise as false, and by rulers as useful. Nothing is more honorable than a grateful heart. Hang on to your youthful enthusiasms. You'll be able to use them better when you're older. There is nothing more despicable than an old man who has no other proof than his age to offer of his having lived long in the world. Silence is a lesson learned through life's many sufferings. He who is brave is free. If you really want to escape the things that harass you, what you're needing is not to be in a different place, but to be a different person. No man was ever wise by chance. Until we have begun to go without them, we fail to realize how unnecessary many things are. We've been using them not because we needed them, but because we had them. They lose the day in expectation of the night, and the night in fear of the dawn. You live as if you were destined to live forever. No thought of your frailty ever enters your head. Of how much time has already gone by you, take no heed. You squander time as if you drew from a full and abundant supply. Though all the while that day which you bestow on some person or thing is perhaps your last. It is a great thing to know the season for speech and the season for silence. Each day, acquire something that will fortify you against poverty, against death, indeed against other misfortunes as well. And after you have run over many thoughts, select one to be thoroughly digested that day. Nothing deters a good man from doing what is honorable. We must go for walks out of doors so that the mind can be strengthened and invigorated by a clear sky and plenty of fresh air. At times, it will acquire fresh energy from a journey by carriage and a change of scene, or from socializing and drinking freely. Occasionally, we should even come to the point of intoxication, sinking into a drink but not being totally flooded by it, for it does wash away cares and stirs the mind to its depths and heals sorrow just as it heals certain diseases. Death is the wish of some, the relief of many, and the end of all. The mind that is anxious about future events is miserable. What need is there to weep over parts of life? The whole of it calls for tears. To be always fortunate and to pass through life with a soul that has never known sorrow is to be ignorant of one half of nature. Life is very short and anxious for those who forget the past, neglect the present, and fear the future. We are mad, not only individually, but nationally. We check manslaughter and isolated murders. But what of war and the much vaunted crime of slaughtering whole peoples? Everyone prefers belief to the exercise of judgment. The sun also shines on the wicked. The part of life we really live is small, for all the rest of existence is not life, but merely time. Drunkenness is nothing but voluntary madness. What really ruins our character is the fact that none of us looks back over his life. Fidelity purchased with money, money can destroy. Men do not care how nobly they live, but only for how long. Although it is within the reach of every man to live nobly, but within no man's power to live long. Leisure without books is death, and burial of a man alive. The abundance of books is distraction. Courage leads to heaven. Fear leads to death. Economy is too late when you are at the bottom of your purse. The final hour when we cease to exist does not itself bring death. It merely of itself completes the death process. We reach death at that moment, but we have been a long time on the way. For greed, all nature is too little. He that does good to another does good also to himself. The difficulty comes from our lack of confidence. Anger, if not restrained, is frequently more hurtful to us than the injury that provokes it. There are more things to alarm us than to harm us, and we suffer more often in apprehension than reality. Fate leads the willing and drags along the reluctant. A gift consists not in what is done or given, but in the intention of the giver or doer. It is difficult to bring people to goodness with lessons, but it is easy to do so by example. Often, a very old man has no other proof of his long life than his age. We are more often frightened than hurt, and we suffer more from imagination than from reality. It does not matter how many books you have, but how good are the books which you have. Light griefs are loquacious, but the great are dumb. If we could be satisfied with anything, we should have been satisfied long ago. Most powerful is he who has himself in his own power. For many men, the acquisition of wealth does not end their troubles. It only changes them. There is no enjoying the possession of anything valuable unless one has someone to share it with. Expecting is the greatest impediment to living. In anticipation of tomorrow, it loses today. You ask, what is the proper limit to a person's wealth? First, having what is essential. And second, having what is enough. No man can be sane who searches for what will injure him in place of what is best. Everybody agrees that no one pursuit can be successfully followed by a man who is preoccupied with many things. Since the mind, when distracted, takes in nothing very deeply, but rejects everything that is, as it were, crammed into it. There is nothing the busy man is less busied with than living. There is nothing that is harder to learn. No man is crushed by misfortune unless he has first been deceived by prosperity. We cease to be so angry once we cease to be so hopeful. If you live in harmony with nature, you will never be poor. If you live according to what others think, you will never be rich. It's not because things are difficult that we dare not venture. It's because we dare not venture that they are difficult. A sword never kills anybody. It is a tool in the killer's hand. No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself. It takes the whole of life to learn how to live. And what will perhaps make you wonder more? It takes the whole of life to learn how to die. The less we deserve good fortune, the more we hope for it. To expect punishment is to suffer it, and to earn it is to expect it. I shall never be ashamed of citing a bad author if the line is good. To err is human, but to persist in the mistake is diabolical. A punishment to some a gift, and to many a favor. The greatest remedy for anger is delay. As long as you live, keep learning how to live. The day which we fear as our last is but the birthday of eternity. There is no person so severely punished as those who subject themselves to the whip of their own remorse. People are frugal in guarding their personal property. But as soon as it comes to squandering time, they are most wasteful of the one thing in which it is right to be stingy. The greatest obstacle to living is expectancy, which hangs upon tomorrow and loses today. You are arranging what is in fortune's control and abandoning what lies in yours. Nothing is burdensome if taken lightly, and nothing need arouse one's irritation so long as one doesn't make it bigger than it is by getting irritated. It is not that we have so little time, but that we lose so much. We are not given a short life, but we make it short. And we are not ill supplied, but wasteful of it. The key is to keep company only with people who uplift you, whose presence calls forth your best. Have this thought ever present with thee. When thou losest any outward thing, what thou gainest in its stead, and if this be the more precious, say not, I have suffered loss. There is only one way to happiness, and that is to cease worrying about things which are beyond the power or our will. The anger of an ape, the threat of a flattered, these deserve equal regard. When you want to hear a philosopher, do not say, "You say nothing to me." Only show yourself worthy or fit to hear, and then you will see how you will move the speaker. Friend, bethink you first what it is that you would do, and then what your own nature is able to bear. He who laughs at himself never runs out of things to laugh at. Attach yourself to what is spiritually superior, regardless of what other people think or do. Hold to your true aspirations, no matter what is going on around you. To you, all you have seems small. To me, all I have seems great. Your desire is insatiable. Mine is satisfied. From this instant on, vow to stop disappointing yourself. Separate yourself from the mob. In every affair, consider what precedes and what follows, and then undertake it. If you seek truth, you will not seek to gain a victory by every possible means. And when you have found truth, you need not fear being defeated. When you are offended at any man's fault, turn to yourself and study your own failings. Then you will forget your anger. True instruction is this: to learn to wish that each thing should come to pass as it does. Be free from grief, not through insensibility like the irrational animals, nor through want of thought like the foolish, but like a man of virtue, by having reason as the consolation of grief. Decide to be extraordinary and do what you need to do now. I laugh at those who think they can damage me. They do not know who I am. They do not know what I think. They cannot even touch the things which are really mine and with which I live. Suffering arises from trying to control what is uncontrollable, or from neglecting what is within our power. However he may treat me, I must deal rightly by him. This is what lies with me, what none can hinder. No matter what happens, it is within my power to turn it to my advantage. Nothing is in reality either pleasant or unpleasant by nature, but all things become so through habit. The appearance of things to the mind is the standard of every action to man. To accuse others for one's own misfortune is a sign of want of education. To accuse oneself shows that one's education has begun. To accuse neither oneself nor others shows that one's education is complete. Any person capable of angering you becomes your master. Give me, by all means, the shorter and nobler life, instead of one that is longer but of less account. Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. Take care not to hurt the ruling faculty of your mind. If you were to guard against this in every action, you should enter upon those actions more safely. Nature hath given men one tongue, but 2 ears, that we may hear from others twice as much as we speak. The essence of philosophy is that a man should so live that his happiness shall depend as little as possible on external things. People are not disturbed by things, but by the views they take of them. Everything has 2 handles, the one by which it may be carried, the other by which it cannot. A city is not adorned by external things, but by the virtue of those who dwell in it. If you ever happen to turn your attention to externals for the pleasure of anyone, be assured that you have ruined your scheme of life. He who exercises wisdom exercises the knowledge which is about God. The key is to keep company only with people who uplift you, whose presence calls forth your best. Things in our control are opinion, pursuit, desire, aversion, and, in a word, whatever are our own actions. If you are in pain, you will find fortitude. If you hear unpleasant language, you will find patience. Disease is an impediment to the body, but not to the will, unless the will itself chooses. Let whatever appears to be the best be to you an inviolable law. Those proficient praise no one, blame no one, and accuse no one. Events happen as they do. People behave as they are. Embrace what you actually get. Never call yourself a philosopher, nor talk a great deal among the unlearned about theorems, but act conformably to them. If you would be a reader, read. If a writer, write. Things not in our control are body, property, reputation, command, and, in one word, whatever are not our own actions. When, therefore, anyone provokes you, be assured that it is your own opinion which provokes you. Lameness is an impediment to the leg, but not to the will. For states are well governed by the wisdom of men, but not by stone and wood. You are but an appearance, and not absolutely the thing you appear to be. Remember that you ought to behave in life as you would at a banquet. Other people's views and troubles can be contagious. Don't sabotage yourself by unwittingly adopting negative, unproductive attitudes through your associations with others. Some things are in our control, and others not. Fortify yourself with contentment, for this is an impregnable fortress. With every accident, ask yourself what abilities you have for making a proper use of it. Circumstances don't make the man. They only reveal him to himself. It is better to do wrong seldom and to own it and to act right for the most part than seldom to admit that you have done wrong and to do wrong often. Let no man think that he is loved by any who loveth none. Keep your attention focused entirely on what is truly your own concern. And be clear that what belongs to others is their business and none of yours. You are a little soul carrying a corpse. Most of what passes for legitimate entertainment is inferior or foolish and only caters to or exploits people's weaknesses. Death is nothing terrible, else it would have appeared so to Socrates. But the terror consists in our notion of death, that it is terrible. He is a wise man who does not grieve for the things which he has not, but rejoices for those which he has. No man is free who is not master of himself. What is the first business of one who practices philosophy? To get rid of self-conceit. For it is impossible for anyone to begin to learn that which he thinks he already knows. First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. Since it is reason which shapes and regulates all other things, it ought not itself to be left in disorder. We should not have either a blunt knife or a freedom of speech which is ill managed. Demand not that things happen as you wish, but wish them to happen as they do, and you will go on well. You can be invincible if you enter into no contest in which it is not in your power to conquer. Reason is not measured by size or height, but by principle. Who are those people by whom you wish to be admired? Are they not these whom you are in the habit of saying that they are mad? What then? Do you wish to be admired by the mad? But if you chance to be placed in some superior station, will you presently set yourself up for a tyrant? No thing great is created suddenly, any more than a bunch of grapes or a fig. The origin of sorrow is this: to wish for something that does not come to pass. In a word, neither death, nor exile, nor pain, nor anything of this kind is the real cause of our doing or not doing any action, but our inward opinions and principles. If it is good to use attention tomorrow, how much better is it to do so today? Every art and every faculty contemplates certain things as its principal objects. It is unlikely that the good of a snail should reside in its shell. So is it likely that the good of a man should? Any one thing in the creation is sufficient to demonstrate a providence to an humble and grateful mind. Man, what are you talking about? Me in chains? You may fetter my leg, but my will, not even Zeus himself can overpower. Freedom is secured not by the fulfilling of men's desires, but by the removal of desire. In theory, there is nothing to hinder our following what we are taught. But in life, there are many things to draw us aside. The poor body must be separated from the spirit either now or later, as it was separated from it before. It is difficulties that show what men are. The philosopher's school, ye men, is a surgery. You ought not to go out of it with pleasure, but with pain, for you are not in sound health when you enter. Practice yourself, for heaven's sake, in little things, and thence proceed to greater. and be silent for the most part, or else make only the most necessary remarks, and express these in few words. It is my business to manage carefully and dexterously whatever happens. God save me from fools with a little philosophy. No one is more difficult to reach. To be getting an education means this: to be learning what is your own and what is not your own. Freedom and slavery. The one is the name of virtue, and the other of vice, and both are acts of the will. No man is able to make progress when he is wavering between opposite things. If you tell me that you desire a fig, I answer you that there must be time. Let it first blossom, then bear fruit, then ripen. You are not alone. Nay, God is within, and your genius is within. To the rational being, only the irrational is unendurable, but the rational is endurable. Is freedom anything else than the power of living as we choose? For on these matters, we should not trust the multitude who say that none ought to be educated but the free, but rather to philosophers who say that the educated are free. Don't explain your philosophy. Embody it. First learn the meaning of what you say, and then speak. If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. Seek not the good in external things. Seek it in yourselves. A ship should not ride on a single anchor, nor life on a single hope. It's time to stop being vague. If you wish to be an extraordinary person, if you wish to be wise, then you should explicitly identify the kind of person you aspire to become. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Don't just say you have read books. Show that through them, you have learned to think better, to be a more discriminating and reflective person. Books are the training weights of the mind. They are very helpful, but it would be a bad mistake to suppose that one has made progress simply by having internalized their contents. There are some things which men confess with ease and others with difficulty. Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. Although we can't control which roles are assigned to us, it must be our business to act our given role as best we possibly can and to refrain from complaining about it. Wherever you find yourself and in whatever circumstances, give an impeccable performance. Of pleasures, those which occur most rarely give the most delight. Caretake this moment. Immerse yourself in its particulars. Respond to this person, this challenge, this deed. Quit evasions. Stop giving yourself needless trouble. It is time to really live, to fully inhabit the situation you happen to be in now. It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows. Remember, it is not enough to be hit or insulted to be harmed. You must believe that you are being harmed. If someone succeeds in provoking you, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation, which is why it is essential that we not respond impulsively to impressions. Take a moment before reacting, and you will find it easier to maintain control. Now is the time to get serious about living your ideals. How long can you afford to put off who you really want to be? Your nobler self cannot wait any longer. Put your principles into practice now. Stop the excuses and the procrastination. This is your life. You aren't a child anymore. The sooner you set yourself to your spiritual program, the happier you will be. The longer you wait, the more you'll be vulnerable to mediocrity and feel filled with shame and regret. Because you know you are capable of better. From this instant on, vow to stop disappointing yourself. Separate yourself from the mob. Decide to be extraordinary and do what you need to do now. If melodiously piping flutes sprang from the olive, will you doubt that a knowledge of flute playing resided in the olive? And what if plane trees bore harps which gave forth rhythmical sounds? Clearly, you would think in the same way that the art of music was possessed by plane trees. Why then, seeing that the universe gives birth to beings that are animate and wise, should it not be considered animate and wise in itself? Fate is the endless chain of causation, whereby things are. The reason or formula by which the world goes on. Well-being is attained by little and little, and nevertheless is no little thing itself. We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so we should listen more than we say. No evil is honorable, but death is honorable. Therefore, death is not evil. All things are parts of one single system, which is called nature. The individual life is good when it is in harmony with nature. Still your sensibilities, so that life shall hurt you as little as possible. No matter whether you claim a slave by purchase or capture, the title is bad. They who claim to own their fellow men look down into the pit and forget the justice that should rule the world. Happiness is a good flow of life. A bad feeling is a commotion of the mind, repugnant to reason and against nature. The end may be defined as life in accordance with nature, or, in other words, in accordance with our own human nature, as well as that of the universe. That which exercises reason is more excellent than that which does not exercise reason. There is nothing more excellent than the universe. Therefore, the universe exercises reason. All the good are friends of one another. Love is a god who cooperates in securing the safety of the city. Man conquers the world by conquering himself. When a dog is tied to a cart, if it wants to follow, it is pulled and follows, making its spontaneous act coincide with necessity. But if the dog does not follow, it will be compelled in any case. So it is with men too. Even if they don't want to, they will be compelled to follow what is destined. A friend is our alter ego. Nothing is more hostile to a firm grasp on knowledge than self-deception. He would stretch his arm out in from of his and show his open palm. And he would point to his hand and say, "This is perception." Then he would slightly close his fingers, just a little bit. So now he looks like Zeno with arthritis. And he points to his hand now and says, "This is assent." You know, agreement or belief in something. Then he closes his fist tight and points to it and says, "This is comprehension." Then he takes his other hand and grabs his fist, holding it closed, and says, "This is knowledge." Follow where reason leads. The goal of life is living in agreement with nature. Fortune bids me to follow philosophy with fewer encumbrance. Seeing that the universe gives birth to beings that are animate and wise, should it not be considered animate and wise itself? Better to trip with the feet than with the tongue. No one entrusts a secret to a drunken man, but one will entrust a secret to a drunken man. Therefore, the good man will not get drunk. The avaricious man is like the barren, sandy ground of the desert, which sucks in all the rain and dews with greediness, but yields no fruitful herbs or plants for the benefit of others. Man seems to be deficient in nothing so much as he is in time. By silence, I hear other men's imperfections and conceal my own. Extravagance is its own destroyer. If being is many, it must be both like and unlike, and this is impossible, for neither can the like be unlike, nor the unlike like.